Nothing to hang her head about there because she was dealing some really serious groin issues for a couple years and just never seemed to recover from that heading into Rio. But here she is still going strong, and only 24 years old.
And she's always yapping. She was a 2011 world champion, Elizabeth Beisel. In lane 1, we have Kelly Fertel, 19 years old, a freshman this year at Florida. Lane 2, Sarah Darcell from Victoria, BC. Comes from the same pool in Victoria as Ryan Cochran, Hillary Caldwell, and Richard Weinberger, Olympic medalists all. Lane 3, Brooke Zeiger, a junior this year at Minnesota, Golden Gophers record holder in both IMs, 7th in the Arena Pro Swim Series in this event in Atlanta last month. Emma Barksdale, 19 years old, a sophomore this year at South Carolina, 14th at the Olympic trials in the 400 IM. Ali Zekley, the top qualifier, she's in lane 5, Doylestown, Pennsylvania, a freshman this year at Stanford. And then Beisel, she took silver in the 400 IM in London 5 years ago. Madison Cox in lane 7, turned 22 on Tuesday as a senior at Texas in March, 3rd in both IMs. Savannah Falconer, 18 years old, from Greenville, South Carolina, a freshman this year at Florida, U.S. Olympic trials last summer prior to her freshman year. And in lane 9, Leah Stevens, 20 years old, a sophomore this year at Stanford, 4th in the 1650, behind Ledecky, Leah Smith, and Megan Burns at the NCAAs in March.
I really like Madison Cox here. I think she has been swimming so well, has been coming on so strong, had a tremendous NCAA championships and a 200 breaststroke that was her best time last night, 2:25. I think she's going to throw down a good one.
Madison Cox just missed the U.S. Olympic team. She was 4th in both IMs at the trials. Lane 1 at the top of your screen, lane 9 at the bottom. We swim 9 lanes here in Santa Clara. Lane 5 is between the 2 white lane lines right in the middle of the pool.
That's your top qualifier, so you should get a good viewpoint there of Zekley. I think the swimmers right now from lanes 1 through 5, said 1 at the top, really are at a bit of a disadvantage because of the sun. Not so much now in the butterfly, but when they turn over on their back, they're going to have that in their eyes. Always a little tougher swimming outdoors in backstroke than it is indoors, and that will affect those swimmers.
With the flag blowing in the background, Rowdy, what kind of an effect does that have?
Well, the wind does have a little bit of effect. As far as it's so chilly here outside, once you're in the water, I don't think it has that much effect. It's not blowing like we've had sometimes in some of these Arena Pro Swim Series, especially in Arizona a couple of years ago. So that shouldn't be too much of a factor here. Madison Cox, a very good butterfly. Her breaststroke is actually her best stroke. She'll definitely come off the pace.
Sarah Darcell of Canada in lane 2 had the lead through the first portion.
So you really have to have a strategy here in the 400 IM. And the key to the strategy part is you have to stick to it. It's so tough to do that sometimes in the 400 IM because panic sets in when you have a huge lead gap. For example, way up here in lane number 2, you see Darcell. Well, that could throw off a lot of really good swimmers being so far out in front. You get a viewpoint of her, you see her body length or 2, and then all of a sudden that throws that strategy right out the window. If you kind of put the blinders on, especially that first 200, then you can really start to make the move out.
Ali Zekley began to make a move in that last length. We've got 25 more meters here in the backstroke portion, and then we'll go to breaststroke.
Beisel, keep an eye on her. She's also obviously a very good backstroker. Qualified for the Olympic Games a couple times in the 200 backstroke, so she's starting to make the move a little bit. Bronze medalist from 2012 in the 200 back Beisel was it. She just put her move in on the breaststroke and now is starting to sight Zekley down a little bit.
Ali Zekley, her prelim time of 2:12.40, 4.5 seconds faster than her time at the Olympic trials a year ago, and a personal best. Her times in a lot of events are dropping.
And now you're going to see a lot of breaststrokers come into play. Madison Cox, no doubt breaststroke is her best event. Zekley, breaststroke is her best event. Barksdale up there in lane number 4. Beisel, obviously, considering her credentials, is a good breaststroker. So all of a sudden, she's really going to have to come off the pace, because I think Madison Cox is really going to kick it into gear here. This second 50, you want to sort of have a building feeling through each 50, and the mechanics here play such a huge part. That high pain tolerance.
Madison Cox in lane 7. She is toward the lead closest to you right there. She won the 200 breast yesterday by more than a second.
Such a big part of Texas's recent success at the NCAA championships. Big part of their relays. She can do it all.
She was third in both IMs in March at the NCAAs as a senior for the Longhorns. Now to the freestyle portion with Zeekley holding a slim lead on Cox, and then there's Elizabeth Beisel.
Madison Cox, 4.5 seconds faster than her prelim time. She went 4:46. If she's even close to 4:40, I think that's a real solid time as we head into Indy in 3.5 weeks. Also, Allie Zeekley, regardless of whether she wins this or not, this is a real solid A+ swim for her. Best time this morning with a 4:43, and she's going to go faster than that right now.
Madison Cox looking for her second win this week, and Elizabeth Beisel creeping up on her, 6/10 behind the last wall.
And Beisel has scooted up right up against that next to that lane line, and she's breathing to her right, so she can definitely see Cox. Cox is starting to increase her tempo just a little bit. I think she's going to hold her off, but not by much.
Madison Cox in lane 7, leading Elizabeth Beisel. And it's Madison Cox who wins the 400 IM at a time of 4:39.07.
That's just a great swim. That is just a great swim for Madison Cox. Just really special. It's just 4:39 flat. She's a couple tenths off her best time, having the Olympic silver medalist from 2012 chase you down. That's exactly what I'm talking about, gaining that great experience to be able to go on to the next level when we get into those world trials. Another good swim for Beisel. That should give her some confidence. 4:40 flat, right on the edge of breaking 4:40. She's back, and is Zeekley getting third there. 4:41, she goes her best time by 2.5 seconds. So 3 real solid times at the top of the game. And there's Zeekley having that great backstroke. You thought maybe she had a chance to win this. Body length lead on Beisel and Madison Cox. But the veterans started to make the moves just a little bit. Zeekley only 19 years of age. She's got a long way to go. She's going to have a great career ahead of her. There's Cox on the right, Beisel right there in the middle, breast to free. Cox turns, you see her kind of peek over. See, she saw Zeekley up there in lane number 5. She saw Beisel right next to her. She's breathing into Beisel right now. And then that great turn at the very end, you could see her coming off the wall. She has a body length lead there. And at the end, boy, what a special swim. Puts her kick into it, and then boom, right into the wall.
And for the second time in 2 days, we're joined by Madison Cox. What a great race that was. Could you sense that Elizabeth was coming up on you?
Yeah, I definitely could. You know, I knew she's a great competitor. I knew I had to watch out for her that race, so I was kind of looking over that way. I breathed to my other side, but I kept on peeking my head over to see how she was doing.
You know, we talk about how important strategy is in the 400 IM. What was yours tonight?
Long and strong that first 200. All I could think is as smooth as I can be and just glide into it so that I have my legs and my arms for that last 100.
Okay, Elizabeth, thanks a lot, and good luck at the national championships.
Thanks.
Thank you, Madison.